Welcome back to Julian's Garden. I hope you're all doing well. The weather today is just so beautiful, very contrast to the weather yesterday. We got very gusty yesterday. And the video today, I want to talk about peony rose, and I want to plant some peony rose in my garden as well. I bought quite a bit of peony rose this year, but at that time, a few months ago, I did not have a vision where I want to put them yet, so I just pot them up in the container, and now I've got a few spots for them, and I want to plant them in the ground. So there are three types of peony rose: herbaceous peony, tree peonies, and ITO peony rose, or it's also called intersectional peony rose. It is hybrid between herbaceous peony and tree peonies, and it's also die down, or their leaves, their stalk will die down in the winter like herbaceous peony, while peony trees, their stem and stalk, they still intact with the bush, only the leaves fell off in the winter. And between three varieties or three type peony rose, I like ITO the best, and it performs so well because it's hybrid. So that means the breeder, they want to improve some of the feature for the bush or for the trees, and it's got more disease resistant, doesn't need sticking, and it blooms so well, very robust, and it goes much quicker, much faster than the tree peonies and herbaceous peony. And herbaceous peony, for me, their slow self-growing rate is the slowest. It takes 3 years actually. 3 years for my peony, herbaceous peonies starting to produce a bloom. While the ITO, most of the time they bloom straight away when I bought it. And the tree peonies, I got several bushes and they start to bloom for me when they are in the second year. So they love, in my area, they love part shade in the summer. They don't like full sun, but if you want to look on the internet, they do recommend to plant them in the full sun. But for me, if you live in the colder zone, like from zone 3 to 7, you can plant them in full sun, but not in my area in zone 9. It's too hot for them. Too hot for them. Last year, I did plant them in full sun and they got burned so fast. And they love cool and cold climate. They don't like tropical or subtropical climate. And they love cold weather to trigger for them to produce the bloom. So keep in mind for that, if you really want peony rose, and if you live in the warmer climate, you might want to do some research about that. And so I'm talking too much. Let's head to the garden and show you some of my peony rose I have. Alright, I got some ITO peony rose here that I got for them in the container when they arrive. And two of these peony rose, they are called coral charms. They have got beautiful color of salmon. And I love them very much. And one of the bushes, they got the flowering stalk as well. So excited about that. They're very famous. And these two very different color of the leaves, I guess because they haven't planted long, because I only got them maybe a month ago, something like that. When I ordered them, they were at the end of the season and they stuck on the way to my place 2 weeks, and they were so stressed. They did have a bloom as well, but because at the end of the season and they stuck in the box for so long, and they try to push out the new growth, and at the end the bloom fell off. But I don't mind about that. But now they're looking really good, and I just kept them moist. When they arrive, I plant them straight away and water them every day, and now they're pushing up very good new growth. And come over here, I show you some of the herbaceous peonies that I got at the same time, and they were on clearance as well. And come over here, let me show you the new Irish. They just opened yesterday or the day before actually. Looking beautiful. We got terrible wind or very gusty yesterday, and it burned down on some of the beer. I don't know what is it. If you guys know the name, please let me know. Like the outer side of the beer iris flower. And here is some mixed color of my herbaceous peony rose. And as I say, I bought them on clearance, and when they arrived, they were so stressed, and I plant them straight away. I water them every day. I got 4 bushes actually, and they will have a price. But they will take several years, 3 years, 4 years, for them to start produce a bloom, in my experience. But if you have any other experience, please share in the comment below. And when I pot them up like this, I use very good potting mix, very good drainage, and I didn't fertilize or anything for them at that time when I'm planting, because in the premium potting mix I use, they do have some fertilizer element in there already. And you can see with the herbaceous peony, I did not cover the crown or their eyes either. On here is just the base of the crown, and here just the shoot or their eyes shooting up into the stem like this. I did not cover them at all, but I intend when I repot them or when I plant them in the ground, I will cover, like use some manure and or some mushroom compost that I often use. I cover the stem up into here maybe around 2 centimeters, so it keeps their root cool and moist. So let's head into my front yard, and I show you the 2 icy hope peony rose let heaven. They are blooming beautiful at the moment, and we're gonna talk about that. So I'm in my front yard at the moment, and so lots of things are starting to bloom. I'm excited because I can see my roses, they start to bloom, as well as the peony rose. So I placed the 2 quite bright red, I think, peony rose, one there and one here. I leave them quite big space to grow around that area over 1 meter wide for that, and they will grow between 70 centimeter to 1 meter tall. That's what they say, and around 50 or 60 centimeter wide. And I want them to have quite a good room like that, because they say that they need good air circulation to reduce pests and diseases. So that's why I want them to have quite enough room for them to grow. And for my nectarine tree, it got leaf curl very badly. And you can see, so in the future, I'm hoping this nectarine will get a little bit bigger, or quite maybe another meter bigger, wider or taller, and could bring some more shade for the peony rose, because as I said, they don't like full sun in the summer. They can't tolerate, or they're happy to be in sun in the spring, full sun in the spring, but they don't like to be full sun in the summer. In my area, zone 9A, and of course, if you live in the colder zone, they can tolerate more sun than my area. And I can see the very bright red color popping up. Do you think it's too bright for this area? Because in this area, I feel a little bit plain, because I got a lot of pastel color over there and down over here. If I put some more what is this very plain color here, or more pastel color, maybe I even think maybe a little bit boring. So I thought that maybe I just pop this peony rose in and just to see if I really like it or not. And come on this side, I got 1 bush of peony rose blooming beautiful at the moment, and I love the scenery of this area as well, really pretty. And this one is icy hope peonies that I planted last year. And this one is called, do you think I remember the name? Julia Rose. And they've been blooming, I think maybe for a week already. And the bloom are just so big. You can see they don't grow too tall, and the stem are very strong. and it doesn't need staking either. Yesterday we got very gusty wind, or very gusty, and I'm afraid that I have to stake them, or what do I need to do with them? But they are holding up the bloom very well. I got another bush on the other side. I'll show you a little bit later. But here's the herbaceous peonies, and this, so you can see the herbaceous peonies. I planted 2 years already, and this has got a little bud on. Not sure it can stay here or produce into real flower at the end, because look a little bit flimsy, but it look happy. So, and the other one got the sunburn very bad last year, and hopefully this year it won't get too much sunburn. So let's talking about this peony rose. I'm going to plant them in, and when I pot them up, or when I bought the root, the bare rooted pieces, I plant them in a container, and I didn't bury the eyes. Actually, you can see their first eyes just right here, and I didn't bury their eyes at all. I just bury only down at their crown. And but when I plant them in the container, in the soil, in the ground, I will cover them up, maybe shut up like this. I will put some more compost on around their base like this to keep their root cool and moist throughout the growing seasons. And as they say that when you plant peony rose, don't plant them too deep, or just only cover their eyes or their shoots around 2 to 5 centimeter deeper. But I think I just only cover them around 2 centimeter deep. That's it. That's what I have been plant my peony rose, and so far they done so well for me. So let me plant them in, and you can have a look, and I'll show you at the end. My garden is the raised garden bed. It doesn't have a clay soil, or it will underneath it have all the clay, but because we raise the garden bed up, so mostly they have very good drainage. So it got very loose and nice soils, and they love neutral soils. So make sure that you don't plant your peony in very acidic soil area, and if they are too acidic, you can use some amendment to make the soil sweeter. And I just try to make the holes that's big enough and move the soil out a little bit. And remember, don't plant the peony rose too deep. And when in the container like this, they recommend not to tease the roots out of the peony rose, because they don't like to their root disturbance. But as I say, I did move some of my peony rose, and they still blooming beautiful. So maybe I just were lucky, or maybe I did try to minimize disturbing the root as possible, so that's why they were still blooming. And I just pull them down like this. I got so many worms, even in the container. And they recommend to fertilize the peony rose in early spring and summer, but not in late summer and in the autumn. And I haven't actually fertilized my peony rose at all. Can you believe that? Because a few months ago we were in the lockdown. I couldn't go to the garden center to buy fertilizer for the rose, and so I think I should plant them like this. And mostly I just use mushroom compost for the peony rose. For some of the bush I got for 2 years, I have never fertilized them. I just use mushroom compost, and so far they love it. They done so well. And I still have some bucket of my mushroom compost left. For next time I order the truckload, so I think I will get some bucket and put around the base of the peony rose. So one done. Do you think it look good? And another one over here. And make sure you don't plant your peony row near to back close to the root of your other big trees, because they do need a lot of nutrients for them to flourish, and they do need moist and good drainage. Otherwise they won't doing well or they won't flowering well. And I think the reason that I did not fertilize my peony row, they still blooming, because I do have a very good, or I do put a lot of compost, mushroom compost around my garden, and so they have a lot of nutrients. So even I just miss out 1 or 2 seasons, they still very happy blooming. Alright, this is all done. Look really nice or pop of the color in that positions. I really love them. And I got only 1 bucket of the mushroom compost left, quite a big bucket, so only that's enough for that bush. The other one I didn't have enough, so I will buy some bags of cow manure or chicken manures because they love them. They recommend to put manure rather than compost because they got more stable pH level, because they don't like acidic soils. And after they finish blooming, I will try to get on hand on garden land, so that I will spread around their root zone areas, and that will promote their root to grow strong and produce more flower next year. And I will try to make sure they are well hydrated throughout the growing season, and I will go around and put some more brown tubing around their root zones, and so I don't have to water them by hand in the hot summer days. So next, coming to this side, I show you I got another junior rose, and they've been this bush have been blooming very well too. This one have a less bloom than the other bush, but again it got very big bloom. And I did move this bush. Remember, if you watch my garden tour rows around 6 months ago, I did not have this peony row bush here. And I love this position very much. And I love a lot of heuchera in this area as well. I got different color of heuchera. Can you see very dark leaves there? And very bright yellow alarm leaf. And very bronze leaf color, and another variegated leaf color, and here another peony rose. This one is peony trees actually. This one is called Roll Flame, and it got one quite big bloom, and I did move it actually. And this bush only 2 years old, but not a few months ago, 6 months ago, it wasn't here. If you remember, watch my garden tour because I move it. And so you see, they say that they not recommend, they don't respond well moving them. But if you really want to move them, or the position that they're not doing well, yes, you should move them to the other position that to make your peony happy. And there are no reasons that why they just you are afraid that not moving them and they stay in the very miserable spot and they're not doing well. And come to another position I'm going to show you. And yes, I move this peony row bush as well. This is herbaceous bush, and it got a little bloom on here as well. And let me walk a little bit closer. And here's it. It got one little bloom. Hopefully it can produce a flower, and it depends on some variety. Some they bloom later, some than the others. And most the IT peony, they will reproduce enough the flush of the bloom. And yes, see, you can see this one I did move it, and it done so well, and it produced a bloom stalk or bloom bud. Alright, I had to go back under my carport because too bright outside. So, if you don't have enough room to plant your peony rose in the ground just yet, like I have, I just keep them in the container and water them regularly, and I make sure to fertilize them as well. And of course, you can keep your peony rose in the container for several years at least if you intend to, and make sure the container deep and big enough, around 40 or 50 centimeter deep and wide of the container. They could quite happy for several years, 3 or 4 years in there. I heard that some people keep their peony rose 10 years in the container. That is amazing. But I do recommend you plant your peony rose in the ground as soon as you find a spot for them, because they could be more flourished, the bush get much bigger, and they produce more plume. And other than that, they are very easy to care. I don't doing much with them other than they got all the drip irrigation for them. Throughout the season, I do try to fertilize them, I think from now on. And normally I tidy up their leaves or bloom stalk and or their stem when they all dying off, because I don't like or don't want any pests or diseases to stay and penetrate into their peony crown. So that's it, guys. I hope that this video is fun or useful and maybe inspire you to go to buy some peony bushes, because they last a long time in the vase as well, and they are just so beauty. So pretty. Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in next video. Bye bye.